Malo LLA and welcome everybody to a life of a Polynesian builder. Today, we just finished excavating the land of the new building, but before we lay a footing and foundation, we have to check what's underneath our feet, the dirt. You might even see it here in the news in Utah early this year in Draper, two homes slide off the cliff. So there's this event, a serious reminder, if the ground isn't right, the whole build is at risk. So today, I'm walking through how we test the soil, how we make sure that we get it passed. We usually pass it to the geotech people to come and check it out. So let's go ahead and show you guys the process or the proper funnel to go through to get this thing checked out to make sure that we're building our house in a solid ground. Or everybody remember what the Bible says, that God told Peter, or Jesus told Peter, to build his church upon a rock. Right here, this might just look like a hole, but every layer of this soil tells us of how strong this site really is. The type of soil we're building on also determines if this can shift, collapse, if it's too wet, too loose, too soft. That's why we're bringing the geotech, also called the soil engineer, and it's also called the geotech, to test the dirt to make sure it meets the building goal. So the geotech's job, he's pretty cool. He comes and checks the soil, do his necessary test. I've seen him one time and I've asked him a lot of questions. Hey, what are you looking at? Back in Grantsville, because he showed me even you need to understand the area that you're in. He said a couple hundreds years ago, this used to be a valley. Water used to come this way. And he showed me the different layer of soil, and there was a part of the build that when we dug the house, dig for the building, there were pinholes inside the dirt. So every time we grab it, we smushed it, and it just fell apart. And he said, see, this is the reason, this is why we need to X this out a certain amount of dirt, fill it back with gravel, and that way the house is stable. Like I said in the beginning of the video, a lot of houses here in Utah slid off the mountain. And in my opinion, it's always safe for you, or if you're a homesteader, or if you're a builder, to study your land, your area, to make sure that as much water that you can direct as much water away from your build. Water to me is my worst enemy. Anything that has to do with water in construction, when there's water involved, I run as fast as I can, or get to the solution of how we solve it. If it's in-house or out of the house, exterior, development-wise. And just thinking back to my island in American Samoa, we're in the rainy season. If my people figure out a way to direct the water, everything will be safe, the road will be safe. That's what I've seen here in all this little development. That's why it's important to have the storm drain, all the curb and gutter, all of these things that tie into directing the water away from the building, setting the proper elevation for your house, proper slope for the driveway, proper slope for everything. All of this stuff comes in and ties into a proper build. But today, I know we went a little bit off subject there, but today we're talking about the soil. So I'm gonna get a craft up here and talk about the soil of my little experience of what the geotech taught me, and we'll go from there. So let me show you what we're working with here. So this top layer is topsoil. This is great for plants, super terrible for building. Below that we have clay, which expands and holds water. Next, sand soil, which drain fast, but it can shift. And deeper down we've caught some gravel. This is the hard bad, which are much more stable. So each of these layers affects how we prep the site. Some might need to remove and come back, and some remove completely. So that's kind of how reading the soil works. Now that we're here, the real work starts. The geotech brings his tools, he brings it, dig it up. He usually do this during the development site, They come in, they look for moisture, the bearing capacity, basically figuring out if the ground is hard enough. So when we put a building on there, the house don't sink. If the tests aren't good, we might have to replace it with soil, compact it deeper, or add gravel or engineer soil before we build the building. So a lot of that stuff comes in with his notes. I'll show up a sample of how his note looked like. So before we wrap this video up, remember, it's not just digging a house, putting footing and foundation there. We've seen the real damage here in Utah with landslide, especially in Draper, Park City, and every one of those disasters started with unstable soil. That's why these steps really matters. So get your soil tested, don't guess, and thank you for joining me here in the life of a Polynesian builder. If you found this video very helpful, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more behind the scene, real behind the scene video with me out here in the field. And I'm just doing this to help out or to share what I've known with guys out there that might need help. And even if people leave comments down the comment section that might help me become a better builder. But anyways, I'll see you on the next one.